How's it going, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital MV, my GA chapter show. Let's get into it. Let's kick things off by discussing the riveting conclusion to the 2-day Valentine's Day special. I will say it was better than part 1. We got to see Felix, and the writers remembered that Carly and Felix were actually quite close at one point. Felix convinces Carly to stop mobbing and to go with him to the Savoy, and they run into Britt and Brad, who were getting absolutely hammered, by the way. Carly wasn't too thrilled to see Brad, obviously, but Brad pulled Felix aside, and Carly ended up hanging out with Britt. Felix actually gave Brad a pretty endearing pep talk about moving on with his life and looking to the future, while Britt managed to convince Carly to get drunk with her so that they could forget about the guys that they loved and how they're not with them. It was actually really nice to see Carly let loose, even if only for a brief moment, but we're not going to talk about how neither of them were even remotely hungover the next day. TJ and Molly were also at the Savoy, and they were on the phone with Jordan, who apparently is on the mend and may be home sooner than they think. It seems like there might be a Jordan recast on the way. We also got to see a 10-second love scene between TJ and Molly, first one in their decade-long relationship. On the bright side, there is a good chance we're going to see a lot more of TJ and Molly in the future, as Taj Below, who plays TJ, just got signed onto a contract with the show, which means we're going to get more TJ soon. I'm really intrigued to see what the writers come up with for this character. It's been a long time coming. Sunny told Nina that Carly is divorcing him. Personally, I would have much rather enjoyed seeing Phyllis find out that Sunny and Nina had sex over watching Nina coddle Sunny over his upcoming divorce. We got to see Laura giving Trina a gift from Spencer, a much better gift than Esme got from him on Valentine's Day. We also got to see how much Laura loathes living with Esme. And we got to see Esme getting mad over the fact that Kevin had restricted her access to Ryan Chamberlain. And on top of that, we got to see Esme get mad when she comes home and sees Trina, and Trina not being even remotely fazed by it. Also, Ava and Nicholas plus S&M, I guess it's an appropriate day for it, but personally, I think that Anna and Robert did it better in their prime. My favorite part of the Valentine's Day episode, though, was Terry and Chet. Turns out I was correct to be a little bit weary about Chet being her date, because he wasn't. Her real date showed up and he was an ass, and Chet jumped in for the save. I'm intrigued to see if anything actually comes of this, but the truth is we see Chet like once a year, so I'm honestly not expecting much, unfortunately. Now, let's get into the rest of the week. To be honest, I kind of just want to jump into the Peter, Maxie, and Louise stuff. I find myself completely uninterested in the rest, only because it feels like the rest seems like filler just to drag out this particular story even longer, and y'all already know how I feel about that. Not that we won't discuss the rest, but I'm just saying, I'm just more interested in this stuff right now. First of all, Mac is on the mend, and he is more determined than ever to track Peter down, especially when he learns that Peter took Maxie hostage, but Epiphany wasn't having any of it, of course. Felicia managed to calm Mac down by letting him know that Louise was alive and well, and how Maxie managed to hide her from Peter all this time with Brooklyn and Chase, and that they'd be bringing her to the hospital to meet him soon. We got to see just how hard it would be on Brooklyn and Chase to give Louise back to her family, and for Ned and Olivia as well. We got some really cute, sweet scenes between them as a family with Louise. Still, Brooklyn and Chase did bring Louise to Felicia at the hospital and gave her some tips on how to take care of her. It really crushed Brooklyn. However, it didn't take Mac or Felicia very long to figure out that to Louise, they were virtual strangers and that she would be better off living with Brooklyn and Chase until Maxie was returned safely, and that they should just visit her and get to know her first before taking her in. Brooklyn and Chase were obviously very happy about that. Anna comforts a heartbroken Felicia who's trying to keep it together for Mac's sake. I honestly really love that these friendships are at the forefront again. It feels like the heart and soul of GH is alive and well again, and I appreciate that. Now, there are many different angles to discuss with this Peter storyline. For instance, Austin and Liesl conduct a plan to spy on Victor. The two of them show up to Victor's hotel room one after the other. First, Austin threatens Victor, and then Liesl comes in and holds a gun on him so that she can distract him, and then flirt with him and plant a bug into his suit so that she could overhear his conversations. They heard enough to find out that Victor thought he had the means to control Drew again with a tarot card that Peter had given him before he escaped. Luckily for Drew though, Peter gave Victor the wrong tarot card, because of course he did. How does Victor keep getting played by this man? Unfortunately for Liesl and Austin, when Drew and Victor got into a bit of a fight, the bug got damaged, and eventually Victor discovered the bug on the ground afterwards. Now, another angle to the storyline is Peter and Maxie themselves, of course. I honestly thought that they were on the road for 2 days and somehow managed to get to Switzerland in that time. And I was like, are you for real? But then we learned eventually that at some point between car rides, there was an airplane, so I guess it's fine. I'm assuming it was a private jet since the whole world is apparently looking for Peter, but they got on a plane at some point and they're driving in Switzerland now. Maxie is proving to be really resourceful in this situation. She is keeping calm and not ringing too many alarm bells with Peter. Maxie manages to convince Peter to make a rest stop so that she can use the washroom. Of course, Peter is a little bit weary that she's going to try to escape, but she reassures him that she won't. But of course he guards the door, so while Maxie is in the washroom, she finds some lipstick and writes a note on the mirror asking for help and to call Anna with Anna's phone number. And she leaves the other earring that she had right on the sink so that someone could find it and show that to Anna as well. Luckily for Maxie, a woman happened to be walking in just as she was walking out, and the woman actually calls the number and tells Anna about the earring. She sends a picture of the earring to Anna, and Anna sends a picture of Maxie to this lady to confirm that it was Maxie. And with that, Anna prepares to go to Switzerland with Drew and Dante in tow. Of course, Felicia wanted to go, but Anna thinks that she was going to be a liability. Now, if Christina Wagner hadn't signed a contract, that would probably be the last we'd see of Felicia in the story. However, she did, so Felicia, being Felicia, manages to get on a plane her own damn self to track her daughter down. Again, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to see Felicia get some story on GH after all this time. I will say, however, someone that's sorely missing in the story is Frisco. Even if Jack Wagner can't be on the show himself, someone needs to mention him somewhere because he is not only the head of the WSB, but Maxie is his daughter. Why isn't he being brought up at all in the story? Woosa. Anyway, Felicia manages to figure out where Peter might be hiding with Maxie just all on her own like that. Basically, we got to see fake flashbacks of Felicia and Peter having conversations, and it's so funny. You can tell that Wes Ramsey kind of forgot how he used to play Peter because it was still very like musical theater instead of just like normal acting. Anyway, Peter and Maxie are hiding out in this estate that Peter used to go to when he was in boarding school in the summertime when everyone would go home to their families. All these students would go there in the summer when they had nowhere else to go. And apparently Peter bought that estate so that no one else would be there except for the caretaker apparently. Now there were some scary moments for Maxie. Peter did notice that her earrings were gone, but Maxie covered with a perfectly believable story that she had somehow lost one earring and decided to throw out the other. Later on, Peter catches Maxie looking at some maps of the area, and she says that she wants to go for a walk with Peter, and I don't think Peter quite believed her because he was like, well, we can't go tonight because that's when the wolves come out. Why do we put up with this guy? It's so cringe. Seriously, it's so awful. One final angle to the story is that obviously Victor wants Peter to die, and so he's got connections in the WSB, and they are spying on Anna, Drew, and Dante. He says that Dante and Anna are disposable, but Drew mustn't be harmed because he still wants to use him, of course. Just like Felicia, Anna, Drew, and Dante managed to figure out where Peter might be hiding with Maxie. Liesel also figured it out and called Anna, and they realized that they jumped to the same conclusion, and they are on track to track Peter down. But Liesel warns people as well as the audience that Peter has escaped everyone already, so he's probably gonna do it again. I hope to God, Liesel, that this time you are wrong because I cannot sit through it anymore. I can't do it. I'm tapped out. Getting away from the Peter story now, there is a plot point that makes very little sense, but I would like to discuss it with y'all. Apparently, there is a literal heat wave happening in Port Charles, New York, in February no less. The night before we did see characters in winter coats and we did see snow on the ground, but now there is a heat wave. And this was not something brought up in passing, this was something that pretty much every character on Friday's episode was bringing up. The only explanation I can actually come up with is that this ties into the Ice Princess. And for those of you that haven't watched the original Ice Princess story, I highly recommend that you do because it's so fun and so cheesy but so good. When the original Ice Princess storyline took place, it was summertime and there was a snowstorm in the summer. This is the opposite. It's the middle of winter and suddenly there's a heat wave. Somehow the Ice Princess Diamond in the 80s managed to control the weather along with some kind of weather machine. It didn't make sense back then, but we all rolled with it anyway. As ridiculous and cringeworthy and stupid as this storyline sounds, it was honestly when GH was at its best, okay? Like, this was an iconic story. This was not something that was seen as cringe. This was Luke and Laura in their prime, and this is the story that brought the Cassadine family on in the first place. On top of that, Robert Scorpio was introduced within the storyline, same with Tiffany, and of course Victor Cassadine was in this storyline too. Interestingly enough though, even Victor seems taken aback by this heat wave. I mean, I don't think that he's completely innocent, but he does seem genuinely confused as to why there is a heat wave in February. On the flip side though, we have seen Victor discuss multiple times that he needs to bring the Cassadine family together for whatever is about to go down next. And something tells me that this heat wave has something to do with that. But yeah, that's my theory. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, like I mentioned earlier, everything else kind of seems like filler to me and I'm pretty uninterested. I mean, for instance, Harmony told Alexis that she, in fact, is not Willow's mother, which literally everyone knew for years now that that was the case. Now, everyone also believes that Willow's mom is really Nina. However, the way Harmony tells it, there is a woman named Joan who apparently gave birth to Willow in that compound, and she was forced to leave, and the leader of that compound convinced Harmony and her husband at the time to raise the child. Now, could Harmony be lying about that? Obviously, she's been lying about everything else, but it's like, I don't know, I'm not so sure anymore. If they don't make Nina Willow's mom, then it feels like this is a waste of a story. I mean, who cares about some random woman named Joan? Now, Willow and Michael are also trying to track down Willow's birth certificate, by the way, and according to Michael's connections, her birth certificate is nowhere to be found. Willow's like, I don't exist in the system. I was like, girl, we wish you didn't. But yeah, obviously Michael's sources can't find a birth certificate that doesn't exist. Carly meets up with a top-notch divorce lawyer whose MO is to drag the husband through the coals, but Carly doesn't want that. She wants this top-notch divorce lawyer to drag Nina through the coals. I'm like, Carly, why not just go to a newspaper then? Why are we wasting so much time on this nonsense? By the way, Michael and Jocelyn also found out that Sonny slept with Nina, and I enjoyed the daggers Jocelyn was giving him, as well as the confrontation Michael was having with him about it. The only time I've ever enjoyed Chad Duell's Michael is when he's going against Sonny, and so I enjoyed his scenes this week, I'm not gonna lie. But it is as rare as a solar eclipse, okay? You know, this doesn't happen often. We also got to see Brando and Sasha this week, and Sasha looked a little bit different. Fun fact though, the actress that is temporarily playing her is actually Sophia Matson's real life older sister. So she doesn't look that different. I mean, her hair color is different, but you know, they're sisters, so I'm okay with this. Needless to say, they're having the same old conversation. Brando feels like Sasha is avoiding him, and Sasha is reassuring that she still loves him. It's just the same song, different verse. Again, filler stuff. Elizabeth is still dealing with her bizarre mystery. This week she gets a letter delivered to her at the hospital, and on the card is like a creepy looking door, and she reads it and the message says that they are both thinking about Franco, and it's signed with the letter B. Elizabeth thinks that it could be from Betsy Frank, who is Franco's adoptive mother, but I'm getting a little bit nervous because there are theories going around that Elizabeth might be having a DID storyline, and so when I think of the letter B, I think of Biz, you know, that nickname that Terry has given her, and I'm like, oh no, what if this is like a split personality story? I know that some people enjoy these like DID storylines. I am not one of them. I do not want to see this. I have never enjoyed a DID storyline. There's been like 2 that I know of on this show so far with Kate and Connie, and kind of with the Fluke situation because Ron Carlivati was mad that we figured out that it was actually Bill Eckert that held Luke hostage. But like, I just, it's so cringe to me. I would rather see the Ice Princess told again than to see a DID storyline. What do you guys think we're dealing with? Let me know in the comments below. And that's GH in a nutshell this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap, and if you did, maybe consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. I would truly appreciate it. Stay tuned this Wednesday. We're going to be doing another GHMV Reacts live stream on the Dion's Corner channel, and I have no idea what we're going to watch, so let me know in the comments what you think we should watch. I'm looking forward to hanging out with y'all. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out!